Hello viewers, Flash Motorsport here and welcome to Silverstone. Now we did qualify for this race but we didn't do all that good. So I start off in P14, starting on the medium tyres. These are short races now, so one set of medium tyres just about do the job. You see coming around the first corner, bit of closeness, but honestly this race was so clean. There was a bit of shenanigans, but I think that was more of a case of everybody stepping on each other's toes rather than battering each other out of the way. As you can see, I got rear-ended and I rear-ended the car to the left hand side. Thus, the door banging and a bit of fun continues. And I think these little nudges and things like that are they just make the game quite a bit more fun. Rather than whacking someone out of the way, just the odd tap here and there just provides a good bit of fun for the game itself. I do decide to go around the outside of everybody, trying not getting too involved in the carnage. Looking out for the right hand side, last pink pad, powering on, and the car behind, who I was undertaking, has been pushed off the track by the yellow MG. As we come down behind Wood Effect Trev Dactyl 99, that is very oak. It puts me right off. I'm too busy staring at his paintwork and forget to brake. But yeah, we're coming down the straight down here, looking out for the curb on the left hand side, braking halfway over the curb down to second gear and keeping it as tight as you can. As soon as you come over the line, power on and come back down this next straight. Now everybody's starting to overtake everybody. Lavorg gets left behind, and with the added slipstream, I make a move on the Lavorg and keep behind Wood Effect in the link. The Lavorg gives me a little love tap, pushing me off track, and none of us get a penalty for it. I then cut up the MG that's behind me, not realising they were there. So that's my fault on the MG. But I lose a few places for that. No harm, no foul. None of us got a penalty, and I'm not that person off the track facing the wrong way. That's the part that matters. Like I say, these nudges and stuff like that aren't sending people off track, but just barging your way through kind of thing, it does add a good element of fun towards the race. But as we're now down in P14, we're going to stick behind the MG in P13, get a bit of slipstream, try and make back a few places. But I come in pretty well, take it nice and tight in second gear, and I go a little bit deep onto the grass, but again, no penalty. Absolutely brilliant and absolutely lucky for that one. So, coming down the back straight, trying to keep within the toe of the MG, try and get as much speed up, looking on your right hand side for the 2 marker, braking and down to third gear. Let it coast in, and then bring it over to the right hand side, I'll accelerate a little bit and then down to second gear, looking out for the last right pink pad and accelerate out of the corner. I go up the inside here, try and make a move on the MG, and I get a little bit pinched, but nothing to worry about. Everybody is quite courteous to each other in this race, although there is door banging. I mean, we're all tucking in with each other, around each other, trying to maximise the use of our slipstream and not put ourselves into a bad situation. If you look behind me, the MG went off track, and I think that is because the new slipstream effects of the game. Like, I'm coming in hot here, and I think when you're getting caught into the slipstream, you lose a lot of grip, so you've got to be quite mindful of that, and it does catch you out sometimes because it's not always there. It's the best way of putting it. Sometimes you could take a corner and you could do it 100 times perfectly fine, and then that one time it catches you out and you straight off the track. Coming up behind the MG, we're getting very close now. Everybody's trying to battle for position, and whilst these two are battling here, I'm trying to sneak up the inside, try and gain a position, but it was not to be made. I braked and backed out because the MG in front, the white one, came in quite tight. It wasn't meant to be. Sat in P12, trying to catch up behind P11, Harlock 8346 in the D-Wolt MG. Using the slipstream down this back straight here, try and get as close as I can behind them and add a little bit of pressure. Braking down to second gear, keeping it as narrow as I can without getting sucked into the slipstream, and powering on as soon as I get through the corner. Now, 3 cars battling, 2 fast and 1 Subaru Lavorg. I was going to make a move here, but I decided ultimately it's better just to let off and back out and let them fight it out, and if anything goes wrong just like that, I can swoop in and take that position. I back over to the left hand side to let the MG come back onto the track safely. I don't want to get shunted off again, but ultimately that lost me a further position by P11 Tobek, which is annoying to an extent, but it can't be helped. Rather be courteous and lose a position than be pushed off or out of the way and lose multiple positions. But YMG is battling, trying to get back up. I swoop up the inside and gain that position. Come over to the left hand side, try and get a better turn in, braking down to second gear and going in as tight as I can. Power on as early as possible and try and keep within the tow of the cars in front. Obviously the MG behind is doing the same. It's not something I'm wanting too much, but obviously can't be helped. Keep it to the right hand side, looking for a 200 board, braking down to third gear, let it coast in and tucking in behind the pack in front. Now whilst they're battling, it's costing them precious time. We're obviously catching up behind them and able to start adding a bit of pressure and adding a fourth character to the fight. Skipping ahead towards the end of the final lap, not much has changed overall. We're still in P11. I'll try making a move on the Lavorg. Tyres are wearing a little bit thin. I'm pretty sure the Lavorg have far better tyres than I will. But as you can see, they took the corner way better than I did. So I'm hoping this MG's tyres are more worn than mine. So I decided to try and go the inside here. I nearly make it. So I have a better run out of this corner. I decided to go and make a move on the outside, then switch it back onto the inside, try and trick him. And as you can see, I'm just about to get across the line and beat him just. P10 across the line, can't go like that. How far was I off the Lavorg? 3 tenths. 3 tenths off the Lavorg. Not fair, the MG had a penalty, but if you take that penalty away, 0.001 second faster than MG. That is close. I'd also like to say that over 88% of you are not subscribed to this channel. So if you made it this far, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button and leave me a comment down below. On to Hakone. Now we're again in the MG, medium tyres, starting off in P4 position. As you can guess, I qualified for the race, got P4, can't grumble at that. Hakone is not my strongest track, it's that final turn that seems to get me. And this first turn that gets me. I struggle to find a braking point for it, so what I'm going to do is do my best to keep up with the cars in front and see what lines and braking points they are using that I obviously am not. But I do know my braking point up here, coming up to the top here, looking out for the 50 board on the right hand side. When you parallel to 50 board, braking down to third gear, clip the curb and power back on as soon as you clip that curb and come out on the other side. Obviously they had a much better exit than me. But I'm happy. I got the slipstream. I'm going to try and catch him up with the slipstream coming down this straight here. You can take this all here flat out, rub the apex on the left hand side, go over the curb on the right hand side just a little bit and keep to your right here. I dabble off and touch the brakes ever so lightly just to get the weight onto the front wheels. And it's basically a case of applying brakes and letting it off, applying brakes and letting it off. Let the car coast round whilst trying to keep the weight on the front wheels. And then as soon as you get around that corner, power on in fourth gear and come down the straight. Now, looking out for your left hand side, as soon as it opens up, about a second and a half, then let off down to fourth gear and keep the car to your right hand side. Accelerate some more and then braking down to third gear. As soon as the track opens up and the billboard on the left hand side stops, that's your acceleration point. Accelerate it out and come up here. 50 board, braking down to third gear. Clip the apex and power back on. Come over to the right hand side. That's the best way I remember. So the second corner is you finish the blue billboard on the left hand side. That's a great point to start accelerating. Coming down here again, flat out. Luckily enough, I'm not losing too much time. I'm only 0.4 to 5 seconds away from the cars in front, but I've got quite a bit from the cars behind. Like I say, I'm letting off and then dabbling on the brakes down to 5th gear, dabbling on the brakes down to 4th gear and letting it coast round. Powering on as soon as the red tarmac comes back in and coming down this straight here. Again, I'm trying to just follow in the toe and get a bit of time back that I've lost. Looking at the left hand side and then braking down to 5th gear, down to 4th, just clip that curb, accelerate and then brake again. Again, as soon as the blue billboard stops, that's your accelerating point to come out of this corner. I did try it in 3rd gear then. It's better in 4th gear, you do seem to have less wheel spin. Down to 3rd gear, over the curb, accelerate and over to the right hand side. Skipping ahead to lap 4. This is where a bit of shenanigans start to happen. Everybody is battling in front of me here and I'm just sat here in P4 looking pretty. We got quite a large gap from the cars behind. But I'm not too sure what happens because the MG is in the way. But the Peugeot and I think it's the Link. I'm not too... No, it was the Is it Link or MG? Link end up having a shenanigan moment. And both go off track to an extent. So that leaves me with P1. So we're carrying on like nothing's ever happened. Pretty grateful for our situation that is being made. Braking down to 4th gear, bring it over to the right hand side. Sometimes it's better to go over the curb. I haven't noticed much of an improvement going over it, but obviously I'm not the fastest through this track either. My idea right now is just to try and keep up with that MG and basically try and learn more of the track than what I have at the minute, because what I have at the minute isn't the best. But keeping up with someone that was obviously much quicker than me is the best way of learning the track. They're not quicker to the extent that I can't keep up, which is obviously, you don't want to learn from somebody you can't keep up with, but you want to learn from somebody you can keep up with, but it's quite a challenge. As you can tell, they are gaining from me in the corners and I'm catching them up in the straights. That's obviously aided because of the slipstream, but I am getting closer in some parts. I'm just not accelerating at the right points, and I think they might have a better tune than I do, because I seem to have a good bit more understeer. But don't forget, that's also because I'm in the slipstream of the vehicle as well. Again, coming over the start and finish line for lap 6, braking down to 4th gear. Now P3 is starting to catch up to us at quite an alarming rate, to be quite honest with you. So obviously they are much faster than me and P1 overall. Braking at the 50 board, coasting to your left hand side. Tyres are starting to wear a little bit. You're starting to feel they're not as grippy as they once were. And the Peugeot outhandles the MG by quite an extent. So that's where the MG is going to come all over us, where I'm going to be all over the MG in the straight line. Problem is now I am not within the slipstream of P1, and for me to try and gain back on that, let's be honest, isn't going to happen. Lucky enough, I have got a better corner now because I'm not in the slipstream, but I'm not as fast because I'm not following someone and learning what they're doing and when they're turning and when they're accelerating as well. Because obviously you can hear when they're accelerating, which is also a big bonus factor, because the delay, once you hear them accelerate, you can accelerate as well. But P3 is all over me. They're up the inside and they can't take that position. I'm defending it to an extent, but I don't want to defend to a point where I annoy P3 and lose that position. So I'm trying to give them a little bit of space as well. So I keep wide on this corner, let them take the inside, and I can follow them down this back straight. Now again, like I said, the Peugeot does outhandle the MG, so I have to be mindful of that, and the MG is faster and I'm well within the toe of that car. What I'm more worried about is the MG catching up to me and P2. As you can see, 0.9 seconds now, because I'm having to let off to let the MG stay ahead. There's no point in me taking that position back on the straight line when they can out-corner me. It's not a fight that's worth having. But I was quite surprised at this ending here. Coming up around this last corner, I accelerate. P2 is 0.2 seconds in front, but we come up to the finish line here and I believe they brake. Now I don't know if it's for me to take that position or for the vehicle behind to catch up on the penalty gap that the player has got, but to me that's just great sportsmanship. If it's to let someone else gain a position, I've not seen that yet, and massive well done. It was a great race. Thank you all for racing, and thank you all for teaching me the better way of doing this track. On to Watkins Glen, one of my favourite tracks. There's not many of us in this lobby for some unknown reason. I qualified for P2, but P3 is faster than me, but they had a dirty lap. So I have got my work cut out because all of us racing here are very close. Coming down the first corner, take it a bit wide and try and catch up to the MG in front. I want to work with the MG in front to gain a gap from the vehicles behind. Of course, on the straight line is not the best place to try and work with somebody because we're all gaining slipstream. The issue is P1 isn't gaining slipstream, so all we're all doing is gaining up to P1. Looking out to your left hand side for the ambulance and the tent. Braking down to 4th gear and over the curves and abuse the living hell out of them. Everybody does start catching up behind me. I'm not the quickest through here, and for some reason that MG behind is really quick through here behind me. Maybe I could have gone a little bit faster, but I was on the edge of understeering, so maybe there's something in my tune I could have set up a little bit better. Breaking out the 200 board down to 4th gear, and I decide to let P3 take P2. That's what I'm trying to get through. I am breaking a bit of a gap between P1, so I'm hoping P2 is more my pace and level, so let them take that position and try and catch up to P1. As you can see, P1 is getting off into the distance. I don't let them take fully position. I do try and keep them on the outside and get a better exit through here. The Ford Focuses behind, on the other hand, surprised me here. They were all over me coming through that corner. And coming up here, I'll try and break a bit of space. The MG is quicker than the Focus by a little bit. I'm hoping having the slipstream for the MG in front, I can then manipulate the situation. But I think the Focus handles better. Breaking out the ambulance, down to 4th gear, over the curbs, and to the left side a little bit. Keep it to your right, braking down to about 95 miles per hour. Ford Focus gives me a little love tap. So as soon as you get to the hut, accelerate, and I try again to keep up with the MG in front. Keep an eye out on the right hand side for the 200 board. Just after this opening here, 3, 2, braking down to 4th gear, clip the inner apex and accelerate. We'll move to the left hand side, brake and try and clip the right apex, which I missed by quite a substantial amount. Which then gives the Focus behind me a position to start sniffing around me a bit more than I want. MG as well in P2 is now getting away. And I massively messed up this corner. I let off the brakes for some unknown reason in my life. I don't know why. So I lose that position to the Ford Focus. And the Ford Focus behind that Ford Focus had no idea what on earth I was doing. So they go into the back of me a little bit. They have that position. And I'm not wanting to give up this position. I'm fighting. I've got the inner line for the next corner ahead. So I'm hoping to try and outbrake them. But I think they have bigger cojones than I do. See how hot they're coming in and managing to control it. That is some very good driving there. So I know this is a small lobby that we're in. There's only 5 of us here. It's 5 competitive people that I'm having a great time racing. You don't have to have a full lobby to have a great race. You just need drivers at the same level, maybe a little bit better, and maybe to an extent a little bit worse than you. An overall balance around you that you can compete with and have a good blast. I said there's a bit of door banging. We're giving each other a bit of space again. But skipping ahead to the final lap, I'm still in front of the Ford Focus. We have been back and forth with each other and who's having that position and who is not. But I have to be honest here, I think this Ford Focus has led me into a false sense of security because they are faster through the inner loop than I am. So I'm coming up here trying to keep as much speed as I can. But the Ford Focus has the run on me. They have the slipstream, so I'll go over to the left hand side, let them go the inside, and I brake before them. I'm hoping to let them mess up by having not the most optimal line. You can see how hot they're coming in and still able to keep their vehicle under control. The only thing that annoys me about the Ford Focus is the rear lights are very bright for some reason. I don't know why. So sometimes you look at it, you have a quick glance and you think, oh, they're braking, and when they're not. That's the only bugbear I have with the Ford Focus. But like I say, I might be in last position, but my god, what a hell of a race it was. I had a right blast. And it was quite nice to compete with a group of people that are slightly better than you and put up a great challenge. As you can see, I tried going up the outside here. didn't work. They had the inside line and a better exit than I did. But thank you all for a great race, and thank you all for watching. See you all next time.